Stop the press! Adam McPhee has destroyed the globe!
But this footage today, and what we've got, I'm going to show you in a minute, not only is going to prove there's no curve, we're going to destroy the globe argument.
Yes, it's me, Simon Dan, and I am back again on this fantastic Flat Earth Friday, taking on Mr. McPhee for a second time. A few weeks ago I made a video that showed his lack of understanding when it came to elevation and curve. He didn't take it well. If you haven't seen it yet, please pause this video and go check it out. Link is in the description. Almost immediately he made a response. Here is his opening.
Well, Simon Dan, the globe deceptive clown.
His frustrations were not because I debunked him, but more because I'd apparently deleted his comments that contained a link to his observational video that he believes destroys the globe. Comments that I pinned. Comments that we somehow had dialogue on, despite the fact I'd deleted them. I want to make it abundantly clear, unless there is racism or vulgar language, I do not delete comments. So, because Adam became so butthurt that no one would see his video, I thought I'd share it with all my subscribers and anyone else who might want to see it. Of course, we'll completely rip it apart in the process. Adam, let's see what you got.
This is a quick review of some footage I took on the Bristol Channel on Sunday. My location was the Black Nor Lighthouse, just outside Portishead. I'm looking up the Bristol Channel towards Gloucester. First bridge, second bridge. I think 11 miles.
After some research, I can confirm that the first bridge in the foreground is the Prince of Wales Bridge, and the second bridge behind it is the Severn Bridge.
But what's really interesting is this building here. Took me a while to suss out, hunt it down, find out what it is. But take a note of its unusual shape, the tower. It's like a tower block, but with like an extra bit at the front that's taller. An unusual tower block. But it almost steps up at the front. I need to see that, yeah? Take note of that.
Noted. So far, so good.
Now, like I said, it took me a while to figure out what building that is and find it. Turns out it's Sharpness Docks, and that's one of the warehouses at Sharpness Docks. The nice lady there, when I rang up, told me that building's 65 metres tall.
Okay, first important point. I can confirm this. 65 metres is 213 feet. I asked some nice people on the Sharpness Docks Facebook group how tall it was, and they said about 200 feet. Remember this. So
we got that as a reference as well. Before we put that through the Earth's curve calculator. But this footage today, and what we've got, I'm going to show you in a minute, not only is going to prove there's no curve, we're going to destroy the globe argument of refraction, where this ridiculous argument where this image is refracted and projected back round the curve to give the impression the Earth is flat, but really it's not, it's a ball. It's just nonsense. But we're going to prove that is what it is, just utter fucking nonsense.
So, you have done what no other flat earther has been able to do, completely disprove the globe with some observations. Maybe I should serve up a slice of humble pie and get it ready to go.
So yeah, all it is, I'm going to play the footage very shortly, and it's just me. You can see the building, and I'm going to be zooming out in a minute, and basically panning all the way out back to my location, showing the lighthouse, and showing the nautical training school next to it as well. To give my location basically. Now I'm just going to show you a couple of images of where we are, and this is the building. Sorry, there's the building, obviously. Notice the distinguished tower. Okay, now this turns out to be what it is, this building here, which is Sharpness Docks. Obviously you can see the Bristol Channel just here on the background, and this is the inlet for the docks, and obviously I don't know, grain store or whatever it was, but you can quite clearly see this is the building. That's a really unusual building, yeah, with that step up, almost like that extra tier. So undoubtedly, unmistakably, that is the building.
I've got no problem whatsoever with that assumption. I concur that the building you can see is this concrete silo in Sharpness Docks.
Okay, let me show you my location. Here's here. This is the Black Nor Lighthouse. Let me just zoom out so you can see that properly. This is the Blackmore Lighthouse, and I've got my tripod sat up here, and I'm looking this way, up the channel towards the bridges and the Sharpness docks, and that's said warehouse, okay? Now I am right on the sea. I'm going to show you top view of this shortly. And like I say, I'm looking up the channel. Now when the tide's in, sometimes the tide comes right up to literally the top of this concrete base which the lighthouse is actually stood on. So you could class that as sea level, although the tide wasn't fully in when I was here. It was coming in, so I just thought I'd state that.
Right, so according to the correct elevation stats, the position he was situated in is 16.6 feet above sea level. If we add the 5 foot of his tripod, that works out at around 21 feet. 21 feet above sea level for this observation.
Anyway, like I said, I'm looking up this direction, and we're going to show you the map now. The distance involved, okay, is here. Might have to zoom in for you. "21 miles essentially, the journey."
Yep, very happy with that. 21 miles, we'll go with it.
All it is, I'm going to be panning out, nothing glamorous, I'm just panning out from that location and showing my location. Panning out, all the way out, all 21 miles away. I'm looking, this is the concrete base I'm stood on, which is what the lighthouse is on. I'm looking down onto the beach, which is probably 8 to 10 feet down there. When the tide comes in, it'll literally come near enough up to the top of that wall. There's the tripod, which is probably 4 feet tall, and here's the Blackmore Lighthouse, okay? And I'm coming down onto the Nautical Training School, which is just set back. Sorry about that, a bit glitchy there. Bits just set back. But ultimately, I'm right on the beach, yeah? I'm right on the sea. So we're seeing that building from 21 miles away.
All seems very legitimate so far. I can't argue with anything he said at all so far. I better get a fork for that humble pie.
If we run that through the curve chart, I'll see what we come up with. I've given myself a viewer height of 10 feet.
10 feet? Why? Your tripod by your own admission is at least 4 feet, and you said that it was at least 8 to 10 feet down to the beach. That's 12 to 14 feet. However, you're wrong on all accounts here. As we ascertained earlier, the viewer height is 21 feet, 16 feet above sea level plus your tripod. But I'll be kind and say your tripod's 4 feet, so we'll call it 20 feet in total. Are we trying to fudge the numbers here, Adam?
And essentially the target should have been hidden. 195 feet should have been hidden. Can you see that there? That building, I was told by the lady at the docks, is 65 metres. That's 195 feet.
No, 65 metres is 213 feet. So even with your dodgy numbers, there still should be some of that tower visible. Let's put the proper numbers in, shall we? So with the correct viewer height of 20 feet, we get a hidden value of 160 feet. I'm not even going to account for refraction, which we should be doing, by the way. That means at least 50 feet of that building should be visible.
Essentially, the whole of that building should not have been seen. None of it. And we pretty much can see all of it. There is some miraging, I get that, but we can pretty much see all of it, yeah?
I'm glad you mentioned the miraging. If we go back to his original freeze frame, you can clearly see a good example of a Fata Morgana, which is a form of superior mirage due to the refraction of light. You might notice that you can see a flipped image at the base of the bridge footings. If we draw a lining like this, then we can clearly see the actual horizon. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that does not look like our building is completely visible. I'd say, just under half is visible, and that ties in a lot more with what we'd expect to see. This humble pie I've got here, Adam, you're more than welcome to it if you like. What's that? You've got more? Blimey now, go on then.
Now what makes this really interesting is when we go to this. We've seen a 21-mile distance. Lovely. Now we're going to do the elevation stats on that to cross-reference. Just get that here a minute. I've gone from Black Nor Lighthouse, this is so telling, to Sharpness Docks.
Oh no, not again.
Dock Road, Sharpness, Berkeley. The journey, I'm not really interested in it because it's a walk. It says 28 miles, but that's because I've done it on walk to get the elevation stats. But what really is the giveaway, I've gone up 860 feet. I've come down 860 feet. Notice, flat, plane.
Adam, I've explained this before, buddy. Elevation is not curvature. Here, listen. If I start at the base of Everest and climb to the top of Everest, my elevation has changed by 29,000 feet in the space of a few miles. Explain that.
Here's the elevation of the journey. I'm looking up the channel. I'm at the lighthouse, viewing the dock building. It's showing us sea is fucking level, excuse the swearing. And it's showing the elevation of my journey. But ultimately, the elevation stats are confirming what I'm viewing.
What, that you're viewing from a position next to the sea, an object that is also next to the sea? That's not groundbreaking, nor does it disprove curvature. In fact, when you break it all down, your observations have actually proven curvature quite nicely, so thanks for that.
I've gone from Vancouver in Canada to, groovy old city of New Orleans.
Bloody hell, he's off again. He does another one as well. Look.
We'll continue. We've gone from Perth to Sydney. One side of Australia, the other, to 3,722 kilometres.
And another.
Calais, France. And we're going all the way down to... I don't even know where this is. Where is this? Valencia. Beg your pardon. So we're going from the most northerly part of France, Calais, to sort of southeast of Spain.
You'll notice he sticks with the coast-to-coast locations as well. He never learns.
Folks, if you're not convinced, you should be now. The Earth is flat. The globe is dead.
I'm surprised you're even able to talk still with all the humble pies spilling from your mouth. What an absolute mess of a video. Well, there we have it, people. Another complete destruction of yet another flat earth proof video. I shall await his scathing response with bated breath. After all, everyone has now seen the video he was moaning about. The problem is, it's actually proven curvature. How embarrassing is that? Thanks, Adam, for doing my job for me. Thanks again to everyone who has subscribed. We are winging our way to 3,000. I'm extremely grateful to all of you. If you like this video and you haven't subscribed yet, you should hop on for the ride as well. See you all again next week and enjoy the weekend. Goodbye. Curve this, curve that, where's the curvature? If there is one thing I hear more than anything else, it's arguments concerning curvature. Arguably the go-to quote for a flat earther. They often believe it elevates them to untouchable status. Especially this guy.
If you believe we live on a globe with a circumference of 25,000 miles, you are a retarded monkey.
Well, that's one way to piss off the majority of the world's population. Hello all and welcome along. My name is Simon Dan and I am back for more Flat Earth Friday fun. Today I'm here to tell you that a flat earther's perception of no curvature is quite simply a matter of scale. Flat earthers can't seem to wrap their little heads around a conceivably simple prospect. The Earth is enormous. It has a mass of 5.972 times 10 to the 24 kilograms, a volume of 1 trillion cubic kilometres and a total surface area of 510 million square kilometres. You are just under 2 metres tall. The insignificance of a human being next to the Earth seems to be lost on the average flat earther, and as such, they think they should be seeing curvature left, right and centre. They'll show a picture like this and say, look, it's completely level, flat as a pancake. Well, no shit, Sherlock. The horizon you see from left to right is about 6 miles. The circumference on the Earth is 24,900 miles. That's 0.0024% of the total circumference. Of course it will appear flat to us. How about a thought experiment? The Large Hadron Collider is a particle accelerator buried deep beneath the French-Switzerland border. It has a circumference of 27 kilometres. Now that's considerably less than the Earth's, and yet when we look at a picture of it, it immediately becomes obvious that the bend of the collider is not obvious. However, if we want to compare it to our perception of Earth, we need to scale it down. Basically, trying to see the Earth's curvature at sea level here on Earth would be the equivalent of standing right above the Large Hadron Collider, looking at a 6.5 metre section and identifying it curving left or right. Simply not possible. So, the observable reality, which I hear so often, which by the way is the worst expression I've ever heard, is that yes, to a small human still on the surface of the Earth at sea level, the world looks flat. However, it's not. Because we are a highly intelligent species that has used instrumentation to advance our understanding of nature. It's just like the Large Hadron Collider. It's not a straight tube, despite the fact it looks like one from close up. So what about our friend at the beginning of the video? Well, he seems to think that because you can see Gran Canaria from Tenerife, there is no curvature and that the world is flat. Unfortunately for him, he's made a pig's ear of the whole affair. Let's start from the beginning.
So we live on a ball, on a globe.
That's not me that sped that video up, by the way, or him.
Yeah? We live on a globe. A globe, like this, yeah? Okay. Then there has to be a law of curvature, because you get curvature on a globe, yeah?
See what I mean? They're mad about the word.
Oh wow, what's that there? What's that? It appears to be an island. Oh, wait, it's an island. Let's have a look. When I'm stood there, it's from here. So. It's going to be the closest point. Boom. Okay. You see that? Yeah? You see that okay, can't you? 40 miles.
Yes, that's all well and good, but I'm more interested in how far away the highest peak is on Gran Canaria, which as you can see is 57 miles away.
So from this point right here, to the nearest point of the island over there, the one that's closest to us, it's 41 miles. Wow. 41 miles. What's the curvature of 41 miles?
Well, yes, the highest point on Gran Canaria is 6,394 feet, so I'd be very surprised if you didn't see it. This is the problem with flat earthers. They only think in 2 dimensions.
Hang on. Let's have a closer look.
Hang on, you put 6 feet into the curve calculator as eye height. You're on a bloody balcony. Let's change that to 20 feet at least and place the distance at 57 miles. And let's see what we get. There we go. 1,491 feet should be hidden. That means any part of that island above that height should be visible, which it is.
This one video here, proves beyond all shadow of doubt. Just with my iPhone X, yeah, and Google, and the internet, and my eyes, and your eyes, and your ears, listening to what I'm saying, with the proof right there.
Well, no. What you've done is waste a bloody good day at the beach. So as you can see, the whole argument of curvature is just nonsensical. A complete waste of everybody's time. Right, that's me done for today. Thank you all for watching. I am staggered at the continual subscriber numbers. I'm eternally grateful for that. Unbelievably, there's also been a massive demand for t-shirts, so I'll post a link in the description to the channel's new shop, where I'll be updating designs all the time. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I shall see you next time. Thank you and goodbye. Just when you think you've heard it all, someone comes out of left field with this.
And he discussed how possibly the middle rocket, that's the orange rocket, is actually filled with helium. And these things are like bouncy houses.
Good day one and all, and thank you for joining me on another glorious Flat Earth Friday. Yes, you heard it right the first time. YouTuber CC from New York thinks that the space shuttle was an inflatable. There's no punchline, in case you're waiting for one. Before we begin, I'd just like to say thank you and welcome to all my new subscribers, and thank you to all the old ones too who have stuck with me. I am genuinely blown away to see us at the 40,000 mark now. I cannot thank you enough. Okay, back to today's video. Let's go back to the beginning and let CC break it all down for us.
Anyway, I'm down in the city right now at work. Right off of Fort Washington Avenue. And it's right by the river over here. If you notice, I must have, well, you'll hear them go by, but I must have heard like 50 helicopters pass by since I was sitting here. That's a lot of helicopters. And you know how annoying those things are? I mean, they make so much noise, it's unbelievable. How do people tolerate that nonsense?
Sorry mate, I thought you were doing a video about the space shuttle. I can come back later if this is a bad time.
You know, between helicopters, lead blowers that are happening 24/7, it's almost like they want to create noise to frustrate us, you know, to keep us, I don't know, aggravated in a way. You know, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I'm looking too much into it.
Okay, look, seriously, we can do this another time if it's easier.
But, you know, I remember a time when you could hear a pin drop in my neighborhood. Now, the minute 8 o'clock, it's blast off time, lead blower time. So, you make sense out of that. It's just within the last 15 years I've noticed.
Yes, technology is ruining the world. Got ya. Let's get to the good stuff, please.
You know, if you are a flat earther and you're watching this and you've been doing it as long as me, and it's been 3 or 4 years for you right now, and you're still uncovering truths, you know, layers and layers of layers upon lies. And if you're making videos, don't get discouraged about people that are taking your videos and chopping them up and putting them on their channel and trying to make us look like fools.
Oh, bloody hell, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. He's onto me. Shit.
Because there'll be a day, and that day will come soon, where they're going to need us. And they're going to want to talk to us because they're going to be so fucking confused because they still think they live on a ball. When we know we live on a flat plane. we're the smartest people in the world knowing this information.
Right, all joking aside, if you can sit there and proclaim that you are the smartest person in the world because you think the Earth is flat, then that would be like me saying I'm the coolest person on the planet because I wear my underpants over my trousers.
This piece of the puzzle that has been a lie throughout in our entire lives. You know, I spent close to 40 years thinking we lived on a ball. But then a light bulb went off and I became the smartest person in the world, just like you are for being here and watching me and listening to what I have to say.
Wow. The arrogance is just staggering.
I really want to talk to you about the space shuttle. And I was on somebody's channel the other day watching this, and he had a lot of interesting things to say, and I'm going to share it with you right now. I believe his channel is UAP, and he's got plenty of subs, so, you know, just look for it. It's called the Space Shuttle Hoax, just in case if I screwed his channel name up. And he discussed how possibly the middle rocket, that's the orange rocket.
If you're talking about this, then it's not a rocket, it's a tank.
Is actually filled with helium, and these things are like bouncy houses, you know, and that's all it basically is. And which is an amazing thought, because I want you to go back, way back, to the first space shuttle launch that we had, and just take a quick look at it, you know. Uncover the lies, because this thing does not look like a solid rocket booster at all.
Because it's not a rocket booster, it's a tank.
I mean, it really doesn't. Go back to the Challenger shuttle disaster. Well, fake disaster, of course.
Oh, of course, because you watched a YouTube video from some buffoon who thought he was onto something. Show some respect for real people that lost their lives, please.
And take a look at the way the sun glistens off of this this rocket. There goes another helicopter. I'm telling you, every like 3 minutes one passes by here. When that reflection that you see of the sun right at the tip of that rocket, it just looks, it doesn't look like it's reflecting off a metal. It looks like it's reflecting off of some sort of like plastic layer or something like that.
What, something like foam? As in what the outer layer of the external tank consists of? Funny that.
And I think it very well could be, because if you look at these launches, about, I don't know, 5 seconds before they let these things go, you can see the thing is wobbling a little bit, almost like it's losing its balance. How could that be? This thing is solid, you know? I mean, this has got 3 solid rocket boosters supposedly on it that weigh God knows what, and then the shuttle on it. How could this thing just be like hovering around, and then it takes off?
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Don't know about you, but I didn't see any sort of wobbling at all there.
All right, the 2 rockets on the side, yes, those are actually rockets. I'm talking about the cylinder in the middle, possibly is a bouncy house filled with helium. And it would explain a lot. When these things explode, they explode into a billion pieces. There's no trace of anything. How could that be? There's no metal, there's no nothing, it's just nothing. All they have pieces of are the shuttle. They get pieces of that because that probably, you know, that is real. Well, not real. It's going to go into space because there is no space.
Oh, well recovered there. Well recovered.
They curve off into the Bermuda Triangle and they either ditch them or they blow them up. Quite presumably, I would suspect blow them up because they're so high up there you can't even see them.
Nope, they are ditched and then reused, actually.
But also another thing with the space shuttle is when they do ditch these things and they do apparently explode, they don't have any pieces left. They've got nothing there, all right, except pieces of the shuttle itself. And the chemtrails, of course, if you had a plane, you can't be anywhere near these things. Just like a little background on NASA, I want to tell you, This thing, they bought 126,000 acres down there, and they kicked everybody out of that area where they launched this thing. Everybody they just kicked out. Get the fuck out of here. Bye-bye. We just bought your land. Go screw yourself.
He is becoming more triggered as we go on. I'll take cover.
You're not allowed anywhere near these things when they're about to launch, nor are you allowed anywhere near it when it's just being set up and they're doing a preparatory launch on it. No, you're not allowed anywhere near this thing.
Gee, let me think why. How about safety? You've got a space shuttle strapped to a tank and boosters that's about to ignite 500,000 gallons of fuel. Why would you want to be anywhere near that?
You know why? Because if you really took a look at this ridiculous fake thing that NASA puts up there, those snakes, you'll see that that is probably a helium balloon up there, and the space shuttle doesn't have any seats in it. It's just completely hollowed out with nothing in it. Why would there be? Oh yeah, that's right, because of the astronauts actually go into the shuttle and they wave to us. No, they don't. They go in there and then they sneak out like little snakes that they are, and then they get back off. Oh, man.
Okay, we're really getting desperate now. The space shuttle is a cardboard cutout that's stuck to a giant helium balloon with real rocket boosters attached to it. And the astronauts make their way into said cutout and then out the bottom. Are your fingernails hurting from the incessant barrel scraping?
There's so much fucking material that we're dealing with here that we've got to wake people up. You know, it's not only it is all about flat Earth, but it's not only waking people up to the fact like that. Take some other subject and wake them up about that subject, and then get into flat Earth. That's the best way to do it. You really have to do it like that. You know, just find out what they're in, sports especially. All right, sports, everybody loves sports. I felt like I was the only white Caucasian who hated sports. Apparently I'm not. All right, I think sports is the biggest bullshit racket out there. None of it's fucking true. It's all set. They all know who the winners are going to be way before they start the game.
You've clearly never watched a Premier League game then, buddy. This is just nonsensical drivel now, and I'm done with it. Wow, times are really getting desperate for the Flat Earth movement, aren't they? Well, at least we've responded to this complete lunacy. Thank you all so much. If you haven't checked out the t-shirt shop yet, please do. Link is in the description, and a like and subscribe would be wonderful. I am thoroughly enjoying making content for this channel, and I've made the decision that in the near future I will be moving to a 2-a-week release schedule. More info will follow on that, but it's down to all you subscribers and your wonderful comments that have inspired me to make this move. Thank you all again, and I'll see you all next week. Have any of you noticed that I've got a new admirer?
Let's just say, at 28th of June, you had 1,769 subscribers, right? We are now on the 17th of August. So essentially, we're looking at around about 50 days or thereabouts. And in 50 days, he's gone up to almost 27,000 subscribers. So he's put on 25,000 subscribers, or 500 subscribers a day. And his work is...
Hello and welcome one and all to the day you didn't know you could live without. Flat Earth Friday. Yes, that was our old friend Ranty Flat Earth from the Flat Earth debate team. He made a 20-minute video a couple of weeks ago that was literally watching my subscribers go up. He's so butthurt over the last takedown I gave him and in disbelief that anyone would subscribe to me that he believes that I have spent thousands and thousands of pounds purchasing subscribers and views. Well, there's over 50,000 of you now, and whilst I don't expect everyone to do this, if you fancy popping over to Ranty's video and letting him know that you're all real, then please do. I'll leave a link in the description to that video. Right, let's move on to the subject of today's video. Ranty's partner in crime, Sleeping Warrior, released a video on the same day as Ranty that was directed at yours truly here. Let's see what all the fuss is about.
This is a challenge for No Simon Dan.
I see what you've done there. Your wit and inventiveness is matched by no man.
I've seen a couple of your videos, No Simon Dan, and I have to admit that I don't really see that much science from you. I see a lot of rhetoric, I see a lot of nonsense, but I don't see that much evidence, empirical stuff, real science. And let's remember, the science definition that I'm referring to is the observation of the natural world. And I'd like to know if you can answer me a question, because I'm a dumb flat earther.
Oh man, don't put yourself down like that. I'll do my best to answer your question though, for sure.
And you sit there with your gay little corner and your gay little haircut and your gay little sphere.
Whoa, hang on. That's a bit much, isn't it? You say all of that when the background of your video looks like a photo taken straight from the portfolio of a failed acting career.
And I'm going to seek your empirical wisdom on this one side, No Simon Dan, because I'd like to know how current science worked out the distance to the sun.
Okay, so you'd like to know how current science works out the distance to the sun. Okay, I think I can manage that.
Now, we're all told that it's 93 million miles away. However, we don't know where that measurement's come from. I was reliably told by a guy called Jimmy that it's been measured by many different people, one of which was a guy called Christian Huygens, and Cassini was the other, and then many other people ever since.
But come on, guy. Explain how it works on a ball, though.
Because we're on the ball and there's a sun that's 93 million miles away.
And who determined that? Who measured that? Many. Name four.
Through eons of research.
Name three. Name three people who determined the
Huygens in 1653, Cassini in 1672, and then more recently through the advent of technology, they've also made it more accurate.
But the problem is, Cassini and Huygens both took a presumption that Venus was the same size as the Earth.
It was a bloody good guess though, wasn't it? Because it pretty much is the same size as the Earth. The discovery of scientific concepts goes through multiple stages of accuracy. Given the technology they had back then, this was a phenomenal guess. And when you're trying to find something out, this is what you do. You guess first.
In general, we look for a new law by the following process. First, we guess it. Then we well, don't laugh, that's really true. Then we compute the consequences of the guess to see if this is right, if this law that we guessed is right, we see what it would imply, and then we compare those computation results to nature, or we say compare to experiment or experience. Compare it directly with observation to see if it works. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. In that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is, it doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess, or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. That's all there is to it.
So when we look at how we measure the distance to the sun today, using modern techniques, we'll see that Huygens was proved correct, and he was actually extremely close to the value.
Now what I'm going to do for you, No Simon Dan, I'm going to agree that you can have the presupposition of the Earth for the purposes of this demonstration. I don't agree with you on the presupposition of Earth with the radius, but I'm going to let you have it, because I want to see what the answer is for the distance to the sun. I want to see where science tells us, proves, and provides all of this whole body of science that the rumpus claims for the distance to the sun. So I will accept that you can use the Earth is a sphere of a given size, and I will accept that you can use that to work everything else out. I want you to show me the current science with evidence to prove the point for where they got the distance to the sun.
That's awfully kind of you, Mr. Warrior, but it's irrelevant. Don't need that information.
Now, if you come back to me with Kepler's third law on interplanetary motion, that's fine. I understand that point. But don't patronise me with the explanation for it, because I know it.
Okay, but we don't need that either.
If you come back to me with Cassini or Christian Huygens, I'll respectfully point out to you that that was based on a presupposition. The presupposition being Venus was the same size as the Earth. I'm not going to let you have that one, because it turned out, according to science, that they were pretty accurate with their guess. Which means it must have been superseded by some science that confirmed the distance to Venus. Without any presumptions whatsoever, No Simon Dan, can you show us how they got the 93 million mile distance to the Sun, please? Don't be pedantic or semantic over the 93 million. We all know that distance, that number. But where did it come from? Can you science, bro?
Indeed I can. Are you listening carefully? Good. Before we talk about the exact distance to the Sun, I'm going to show you first that it is not close, or even quite far away, but in actual fact that it is extremely far away. Most of us know the story about how Eratosthenes discovered that the Earth was a sphere way back in 240 BC, and as such calculated the Earth's circumference. If you don't know, here is a quick run through. Eratosthenes measured the angle of the sun's rays in two places, Alexandria and Syene. He did this on the 21st of June when the sun was directly overhead at midday in Syene. He then measured the angle of the shadow cast by a small pillar in Alexandria at the same time. Now he knew the distance between Syene and Alexandria. He paid a guy to pace it out, and he knew that that distance represented that the angle between the two cities, which he obtained from the shadow cast by his pillar in Alexandria. That allowed him to calculate the full circumference of the Earth. Now, most flat earthers will tell you that this proves nothing, because the same result can happen on a flat plane. They believe a close sun would give you the same results. But this would indicate that the light from a close sun would not be parallel. Mr. Warrior and co will say we are presupposing a sphere here, but I'm going to show you how his results meant it couldn't be anything other than a sphere. That's because the light from the sun is parallel, and I can prove it. The following is fully credited to Conspiracy Cats. Please go out and check out his channel. A convex lens can be purchased for a very small amount. One of the things that a lens has is a focal length. This is the distance from the centre of the lens to the point that focuses any image. Here is an example showing it working with lasers. Now, the thing is, the focal length will only be correct if the light coming through the lens comes through parallel. So, Sleeping Warrior, go and purchase a lens, stand outside on a sunny day in your back garden and focus the sun's light onto a piece of paper. You will find the distance between the lens and the piece of paper will match the focal length. That means the sun's light is parallel, which can only mean it is extremely far away. This in turn means Eratosthenes' experiment could only have meant a spherical Earth. This simple experiment destroys a close sun and as such, a flat Earth. Thanks, Conspiracy Cats. Right, you want to know though how current science gets the exact distance to the sun. Not a problem. When Venus is at greatest elongation, we use radar to determine the distance. Greatest elongation is the point whereby Venus is furthest from the sun in our sky. I noticed in your comments though that if I go along this route, you've got a bit of an issue. This is what you said. If you go to radar and Venus, the question then becomes how a successful ping can happen on a sphere that's orbiting the sun, rotating itself, and also curved. The receiver is no longer in the same place physically to actually receive the ping. So assuming the ping travels in straight lines and it takes 3.8 minutes to traverse the 30 million miles or so it's meant to be, Let's round down to 7 minutes for the relay time. In that time, the Earth is meant to have physically rotated and orbited. Plus, it's got a new angle of observation to it. So how does the technology compensation for these movements? Well, 7 minutes is not really a long time when we're talking about movement along an orbit, especially one as big as ours. Besides, there isn't a single beam. Yet another example of a one-dimensional thinking. Radar radiates out like so. We do take into account Doppler shifts due to curvature and rotation though, and we adjust the results accordingly because of that. Once we ascertain the distance to Venus, the rest is secondary school trigonometry. If you need some help with that, let me know. The position of Venus will mean it forms a right angle with the Sun. And we know that at elongation, there's a difference in the sky between Venus and the Sun of around 46 degrees. From here, as I said, it's basic trigonometry to find the hypotenuse of the triangle, which will be our distance to the Sun. So there you have it. I hope that was enough science for you, buddy. I'm sure you'll come back at me though with a load of word salad. Unless of course you've got something constructive to say.
I'm a dumb flat earther.
Brilliant. This now marks the end of my dealings with Sleeping Warrior. Oh, he thinks I've purchased subscribers too. So if you all feel the need to also let him know that you're all real, that would be good too. I'll put a link to his video in the description. Thank you all so much for being here. I am truly honoured to have so many subscribers. If you're interested in joining the Patreon team, I'll leave a link in the description. There's loads of rewards up for grabs there. And you can also get yourself a t-shirt too, if you want one of those as well. Thank you all again, and I'll see you next time. Bye, Renty. Yeah, hello, is that ABC News? Hi there. I wonder if you can put me in touch with someone in the marketing department. Yeah. Great, thanks. Yeah, I'll hold.
Round, 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 the earth is round. Smart people found that the earth is round. There's proof abound, don't fool around. The data's sound, the earth is round. Like an apple or a melon being sailed by brave Morgile. Yet you ask, is this all true? What the hell, what's wrong with it? Like a snowball or a beat, it spins through space, it's really sweet. Your lack of science is quite rife. Goodness gracious, get alive. Round, 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 the earth is round. Smart people.
If there is one man who thinks he's top of the heap when it comes to flat earthers, it's this guy.
My name is Mark Kendall Sargent, and I'm a flat earther.
Hello all and welcome to Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Before we start, I just want to thank a couple of people. You may have noticed a nice new intro that was kindly put together by a channel called Globebuster Music. Massive thanks to him. The link to his channel is in the description. You might have also noticed a new logo in that intro as well. This was made by Wolf Brothers Cinema. A couple of great guys, and they're funny too. You must check out their channel. Thank you very much, guys. So, that was Mark Sargent in the intro clip there, who is probably one of the more famous flat earthers around. He's appeared on national TV and radio here in the UK, and it appears that he is somewhat of an expert when it comes to all things flat earth. Last month, he appeared at the Flat Earth Conference in Canada. Hi, Flat Earth fucker. And today we're going to take a look at his opening statement. The hope is that this will be one of my most comprehensive responses to date. So buckle up.
Some months ago, a German television team contacted me because they had heard about my science challenge and had found a physicist at Georgetown University I could debate. They also wanted to make it as easy on the scientist as possible, so their idea was simple. They would record me on video, reading 5 quick science-based questions, and then send that recording over to Georgetown, and he would respond in kind.
In principle, this is a great idea. My only problem is I'm guessing he will use a load of old pseudo-scientific flat earth claptrap and possibly some fake facts. Let's begin.
This is what I read on camera. 1. Long-distance photography. The mainstream science formula for the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. An easy comparison would be the falling rate of 32 feet per second, so 8 inches per mile per mile. 2 miles is 2 times 2 equals 4 times 8 inches, or 32. 3 miles is 3 times 3 equals 9 times 8, or 72, and so on. At 50 miles, the curvature is 50 times 50 times 8, coming in at over 1,600 feet of curvature. And yet, with HD cameras, we can pull boats back into frame that are well beyond visual range.
So, what does that statement prove? 50 miles is beyond our normal visual range. If you're up high enough, then I've no doubt that you can do that. However, at sea level, it's not possible. I scoured the internet and could not find one example of a boat being zoomed back into view that's 50 miles away, taken from sea level. Not one.
Not only does the new technology clearly show that it's not a mirage, but the same objects can be viewed in infrared.
Infrared cameras detect infrared radiation. This is the band of light in the electromagnetic spectrum that is essentially felt as heat. Boats give off heat, so it's not surprising that it can be seen. It's also important to note that infrared is still a form of light. It still refracts.
And can be targeted ship to ship by beam radar.
Also not surprising, radar transmitters are usually located at the highest point of a ship. And guess what? The radio waves or microwaves can bounce off the Earth's ionosphere, dramatically increasing its range.
Can science explain this? They had no answer.
Okay, bit strange why they wouldn't have, but let's continue.
Number 2, vacuum versus gravity. The force of a vacuum is measured in units of torr, T-O-R-R. Even a low-level vacuum can overcome gravity here on the surface. In building molecule-free chambers for the manufacturing of electronics, a series of massive pumps are needed to create a 99% vacuum. That's -9 torr. And for the remaining 1%, horsepower isn't enough. It can only be achieved by a chemical leaching process. That being said, how is the -10 torr vacuum force of space not ripping off the atmosphere of this world?
This one's a common mistake made frequently by flat earthers. Vacuums don't suck as a rule. If you have a small vacuum here on Earth and you poke a hole in the side of it, then yes, air will rush into the container. Now, that's not because the vacuum is sucking the air in, it's because the higher pressure outside the container is forcing the air into a space where there's no pressure. It's why the astronauts on the ISS could easily plug that hole with their finger. They're fighting pressure of 1 atmosphere inside the spacecraft. The gravitational pull of the Earth keeps the atmosphere clinging to the planet. This means that the atmosphere has a pressure gradient. Think of the ocean. Just below the surface there is very little pressure. However, as we go down deeper, the pressure increases. At 1 kilometre down, the pressure is just over 76,000 torr. This is because of the huge volume of water above. At 500 metres depth, the pressure is just over 38,000 torr, because there is less water above this point than at 1 kilometre. This is demonstrated well by placing 3 holes down the side of a full water bottle. The slightly greater pressure of the water at the bottom, due to all the water on top of it, pushes the water out of the bottom hole at a greater rate than the other 2. Now it's the same with our atmosphere. The atmosphere is also a fluid, like the sea. Here at sea level, the pressure is greatest because of the huge volumes of atmosphere sitting above us. It's about 760 torr. 1 kilometre up, the pressure is 676 torr, 5 kilometres 433 torr, and so on. The edge of space is considered to be around 100 kilometres up. The pressure there is 1.5 torr. Because there's very little air pressure up there, there's no force pushing the atmosphere into space. Having said all of that, we do actually lose atmosphere to space, but that's got nothing to do with vacuums and everything to do with solar activity and the magnetosphere.
What is gravity?
A force. That's about all you'll understand, Mark.
And remember that there are gases that already defy it, like helium, hydrogen, and fluorocarbons. Isn't it more logical to suggest the atmosphere is being contained in an enclosed, pressurized system? They had no answer.
Okay, they still didn't have an answer for this. Right. And no, an enclosed pressurised system is not more logical because you have to explain who built that system. Then we move into some very dodgy territory.
Number 3, eclipse shadow. Mainstream science tells us the moon is over 2,000 miles wide, and yet during the 2017 American eclipse, no offense, the moon's shadow was only 70 miles wide, a reduction of over 97%. This is what the equivalent of having a 6-foot man walking in front of a wall where his shadow is smaller than an action figure at only 2 inches.
Hang on, let me get this straight. You're comparing celestial mechanics, movement of planetary bodies and the interaction with stars across vast distances unimaginable to the human mind to a man walking in front of a wall. That sort of comparison isn't going to cut it, buddy.
Where do we see this in our everyday lives? We've seen a shadow's actual size and some much larger. Where can we see small shadows? The Flat Earth community says that the moon is less than 50 miles wide, much closer and the same size as the sun. Isn't this explanation also possible? They had no answer.
Did they show this video to a porcupine in a lab coat or something? No, that explanation would not be possible. We can prove how far away the moon is. There's at least 2 observations you can do yourself to find this. For Pete's sake, the Greeks did it thousands of years ago.
Number 4, moon temperature. Science has yet to address this relatively new discovery that the moon generates a cold light. We all know that in the daytime it is 90 degrees in the sunlight, 80 degrees in the shade, depending on conditions. I know I'm not going to do the Celsius conversion up here, sorry. However, at night, especially when the moon is high in the sky, we see the opposite. While it might be 50 degrees in the moonlight, it's warmer at 60 degrees in the moon's shade, sometimes showing temperature shifts of over 13 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition, under controlled experiment conditions, magnified moonlight is even colder still, again, the opposite of sunlight. We can generate this with technology today using a cold laser. The question is, why is the moon giving off a cold laser light? They had no answer.
I mean, come on. This one is easy. Radiative cooling is a process that occurs when the Earth radiates heat back into space. During the night, when an object is in shade, the heat is blocked a little bit from escaping. Therefore, the air is slightly warmer. When it's not in shade, i.e. direct moonlight, there's nothing to stop the heat radiating away. Therefore, the surrounding air is cooler. That's not difficult to look up at all.
Last but not least, the Van Allen belts. A simple yes or no question. Are the Van Allen radiation belts deadly?
Yes, they can be.
If yes, then how did Apollo 11 through 17 make round trips through these belts with only aluminum and plastic as shielding? No one died, no one got radiation poisoning, nobody even got cancer.
Our survey said...
Oh, wrong. Jack Swaggart of Apollo 13 died of bone cancer in 1982, and Alan Shepard of Apollo 14 died of leukemia in 1998. Fake fact right there.
I think there's still like 5 left. Radiation is only stopped by 2 metals, lead and gold.
Our survey said...
Oh, is that it again? Some radiation can actually be stopped by paper. some by thin sheets of aluminium. In fact, only gamma radiation needs a metal like lead to stop it.
Both are very heavy and cannot be used in aerospace because of their weight.
Okay, enough of this. The Van Allen belts did pose a problem to the Apollo program, and they knew it would be a risk. They just decided to risk it. The trajectory of Apollo largely avoided as much of the belts as possible. They attempted to go up above them where the radiation dose was at its lowest. They also spent very little time in them due to their speed on the way to the moon. The shielding of the module also protected the astronauts during the journey. But what they depended on mostly was luck. On average, the astronauts were exposed to around half a rad of radiation during their trip. That's about 5 millisieverts. To put that into context, over the course of a year, you're exposed to around 3 millisieverts of natural radiation. So it really wasn't that much, was it?
The scientist viewed my recording and folded like a card table. This piece was never aired.
Well, that's a monumental waste of time for all involved, isn't it? I find it highly unlikely that a true physicist would not have answered any of these questions.
All that being said, my name is Mark Kendall Sargent, and I'm a flat earther. Flat Earth is my passion, it is my obsession, and it is now my life. I watched my very first Flat Earth video in the summer of 2014. Like many of you, I quietly laughed at it, and then I made a huge mistake.
You tried to eat a cheeseburger with your feet? You changed a light bulb whilst it was still on? You saw a wasp nest on your windowsill and thought, I'm going to keep this wasp as a pet. And you thought it would be a good idea to pick it up and give it a good petting?
I casually thought I could debunk it.
Oh, yeah. You kind of need some actual knowledge about the natural world if you're going to do that. No wonder you folded like a deck of cards. Mark Sargent epitomises the flat earth community. He has zero background in natural sciences. The man used to play computer games professionally, for Pete's sake. Yet he has the gall to elevate himself above men and women that have studied scientific concepts for the majority of their adult lives. And he stands there on a stage waffling on about complete nonsense whilst the onlooking flat earthers sit there dribbling all over themselves in the hope that they'll get a chance afterwards to just be in his very presence. What a time to be alive. Right, that about wraps it up for today. I hope that you've stuck with me to the end. Thank you all for watching. Please do like and subscribe to see more of the same. I shall be moving to the second weekly video from October, and the second release day will be a Tuesday. More to follow on that. Thanks again for watching. See you later. Have a great weekend. The problem with people trying to debunk the heliocentric model is that people don't fully understand the heliocentric model.
You know, I didn't even think it was possible to get a line of sight towards Venus, quite frankly, after 10 or 11 o'clock p.m. There just is no explanation for it in the globe Earth, ball Earth heliocentric theory.
Hello all and welcome along to another edition of the ever popular Flat Earth Friday. That was a YouTuber called the Morgile, who I believe is a member of the infamous Globebusters team. He feels he's discovered a problem with the planet Venus that completely unravels the heliocentric model. Unfortunately for him, he couldn't be more wrong. This video was voted for by the channel's patrons, so if you'd like to get involved in that too, please check out the link in the description. There's numerous award levels up for grabs. I just want to mention my empty shelf here quickly as well. as I've received a lot of comments inquiring about what it's for, why it's there. I'm going to be filling that up with some science-related bits and pieces moving forward, so keep an eye out for those. Right, let's see what all the fuss is about.
What's up, everybody? John the Morgile here. Going to do a quick flat Earth video for you. Hope you enjoy it. This one is really great evidence against the ball Earth theory. Starting out, we've got a diagram of the solar system that I pulled from online source that even globe earthers will say is adequate.
Well, the planets are in the right order, I suppose. Scale is all over the place, though.
Sure, it's not 3D, it's nothing fancy, nothing special, but it is adequate to describe the inner solar system. And the big issue, real quick, is this past Saturday, the 16th of June, 2018, Venus was visible in the night sky well after 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern.
Oh no, Venus was visible in the sky after 11 p.m. Why ever could that be?
And if you take a look at this image here, my friend Jason in Michigan shot this after 11.
Oh man, he's even got a picture. What is going on?
Now, if you look at online sources, they'll say that Venus actually set at 11, but clearly this thing had another good at least half hour, 45 minutes before it would have set behind the horizon here.
Okay, I'll check an online source. Oh, look. For Michigan, the heliocentric model says that on the 16th of June 2018, Venus will set at 11:43 p.m. So that means that the photo taken is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Your opening argument is already null and void.
And so the big problem with this is, of course, the fact that in the heliocentric theory, Venus and Mercury as well are, we're talking about Venus here, is supposedly on a tighter orbit around the Sun compared to the Earth. And so how would it be possible for someone on the night side of Earth to get a line of sight towards Venus?
Here comes another example of two-dimensional thinking.
Right. Okay, so just took this same diagram to scale and expanded it a bit. But how would it be possible on this ball Earth here to, after 11 o'clock p.m., which would position you, you know, somewhere around right here on the ball, your line of sight is going to be tangent to this curve. So obviously the side of the Earth that's away from the Sun is going to be the night side at any point on this hypothetical orbital trajectory. And if an observer is positioned on this, clear on the night side of the sphere, obviously by after 11 o'clock p.m., their line of sight would be tangent to this curve. And so if we'll just assume in a perfect world that this point here would be right about here would be midnight, so somewhere around in here would be about 11, and of course that line of sight is going to be tangent to the curve, and so it is quite impossible to have a clear line of sight towards the inner solar system, Venus in this particular case, after 11 o'clock p.m. It just simply does not work in the ball Earth model, because as you can clearly see, this line of sight is never going to converge with Venus's alleged orbital path.
I've allowed him to show us his complete ineptitude at grasping a three-dimensional universe before I comment. I'm not even going to mention scale here because that's a whole different video. What the Morgile is saying here though is strictly true if we were trying to view Venus during an equinox, which is what his model is portraying. Look, on September the 21st, Venus sets at 8:29 p.m, just 58 minutes after the Sun, so of course we wouldn't see Venus anywhere near 11 p.m. The evidence you supplied in the form of the photo was taken on the 16th of June, just 5 days away from the summer solstice. This is when the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the Sun. So to see Venus at 11:43 p.m. is not at all surprising, as this itself is only 2 hours or so after sunset. Hardly the middle of the night.
And so, in case you think I'm making this up, you can just do a quick Google search for what time did Venus set on 6/16/18. And so this was according to an observer in Illinois. It says Venus set at 11:05 p.m., although it seems like if you were in Michigan that date, maybe a little higher elevation, who knows?
Yes, who knows? I think what happened is you started making this video, realised that the Michigan Venus set times messed you up, so tried to fudge it with Illinois times. I could be wrong, but it's got flat earther manipulation written all over it.
And the simple fact of observing Venus after, well after sunset.
I like how he does that little laugh to himself because he thinks he's cracked it. Bless him.
Now, of course, this doesn't prove that the Earth is flat, although it does debunk the heliocentric theory, which in my mind is just as good, because, of course, everyone is led to believe that the heliocentric theory, the ball Earth theory, is infallible and is true and correct.
As I said at the beginning, if you don't understand the heliocentric model in its entirety, then you can't even begin to try and criticise it. Because you end up with the situation you find yourself in now. You might as well find yourself naked in McDonald's. It would be less embarrassing.
Yet, this one single observation of Venus after 11 p.m. debunks the heliocentric theory.
No, it shows how completely clueless flat earthers are when it comes to astronomy.
There is no logical argument against this,
apart from the one I've just given you. He rambles on a little bit more in this video about the moon, but it's all along the same vein. Complete non-understanding of the heliocentric model and the application of a 2D brain. Well, that's another flat earther dispatched. Globebusters. Thank you all very much for watching. A like and subscribe would be very much appreciated. Those of you looking forward to the first Tuesday release will be pleased to hear the first one will come out on the 2nd of October. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.